Welcome, everybody, to Credit Chat Live. I'm Destiny White, your co host today, and I am so happy to be joined by my co host, Christina Roman, who is our Consumer Education and Advocacy Manager here at Experian. And today we are going to get into the topic of cybersecurity and identity theft awareness for the holiday season and beyond, which is a super important topic with the rise of identity theft and all types of scams that tend to go on during the holiday season. So, with that being said, we are so grateful and privileged to have our special guest, Eva Velasquez, who is the president and CEO at the Identity Theft Resource Center, which is a nonprofit organization based in San Diego that specializes in helping those impacted by identity crime, scams, and privacy issues. Eva, is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience before we go ahead and dive into this conversation?
I am just so pleased to be here and be a part of your leveling up on these educational platforms and offerings because boy, consumer education is such an important thing. Even if you think you've heard everything before, the reminder at the right time is just so important.
A million percent. I totally agree. Um, so let's just get right into the first question. We are entering the holiday season, which we all love. And for some reason, during this time is when cybersecurity and identity thieves tend to ramp up theft. And Eva, I want to know, why is that?
Oh, well, those thieves are a crafty lot, and they know that this is a time when we're distracted. We always encourage people to follow best practices and practice cyber hygiene all throughout the year. And I think a lot of folks are doing a pretty darn good job. They're really upping their game. But the holidays come along and we're so distracted. We are so just trying to do all of these things on our to do list. And so some of these best practices might go out the window. You're just so focused, I'm going to check that one off. Okay, I got Uncle Bob. Okay, I got my brothers and sisters and the kids or the grandkids. And we forget that we have to be practicing these principles to keep ourselves safe. And I also think that because we're doing so much more e-commerce, we're just engaging in a lot of these digital transactions. And for some people, this is how they shop, this is how they live. It's not a big deal. But you will have folks who traditionally don't really do a lot of online shopping, but they're going to during the holiday season just to lift some of that burden. And so you got some new folks coming in or people who just aren't as familiar with the digital landscape who are also, out there engaging, and that's why these tips are so important during the holiday season.
And I don't know about you, but I have been already getting the text messages, hey, your package is held at a facility. Click on this link and we'll give you information about where it is. And I'm always, it makes me think twice because I tend to order a lot of my holiday gifts and have it shipped here. And I'm like, did I order something recently? And, so it gives you that second of pause, but then you have to remember that this is a common tactic that they're using right now to have you click on links that then may, you know, have
hmm
you enter private information or login information. Boom, you're suddenly the victim of identity theft or credit fraud.
Well, think about it. You just made the point that when the scammers are trying these, especially with phishing attacks, they're just sending these things out en masse. Oh, you have a package. Oh, it's your bank. And if you aren't expecting those things, or it's not your bank, you just ignore them. So you're going, I know I didn't order anything. I'm not expecting a package, and it doesn't take up that much mental real estate. But during the holiday season, you probably are having things shipped to yourself to different places. And so the likelihood that you're going to engage, that you're going to open that text message, that email, potentially click on a link, it's much higher. And the scammers know it. And so they send out even more. A lot of the things that I think we're going to talk about today go on all year long. It's more about our mindset during the holidays. That's a big part of what's going to make the difference in keeping yourself safe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
I mentioned the texting links that people will send you, but what are some other common ways that scammers may try to take your information or have you provide them with sensitive information during the holidays?
Well, they're going to reach out in whatever method is going to work for them. So text messages, emails, social media direct messages, I swear, carrier pigeon and smoke signals are going to be next. Whatever works for them. I think during the holidays, the other thing to be very leery of are spoofed or fake websites. Um, they those again exist all year long, and it's something we have to pay attention to. But during the holidays, we may be shopping at new retailers that we don't normally go to. And so these websites may be one letter off. So they're relying on you to fat finger the keyboard or not actually know what the legitimate URL is for that retailer. So I think that's another way that we may not be thinking of. I think everybody kind of goes, oh, yeah, texts and emails, but those fake websites and then ads in social media feeds. That's a little bit new and different. I mean, it's a couple of years old,
Oh
but
gosh.
and I think some of us think of those ads as being merely an annoyance and an inconvenience, but you do have to be very careful if it's a retailer you've never heard of, never done business with, if they have amazing prices on items that are generally a lot more expensive. If they have items that whatever the big deal is going to be, this holiday season, it's hard to get items, and yet they seem to have them in stock. Those are red flags that you want to pay attention to. I don't ever want to discourage people from trying new retailers. I don't want to, have a chilling effect on new businesses and people opening and trying, to establish new businesses. I just want consumers to do their homework if it's not a trusted brand that they already know.
Hmm. That's a really good point because you do see the rise of, you know, people doing DIY crafts, and I've started to see a lot of. I'm a mom, so I see all these women that are selling their Elf on the Shelf kits, but you never know, like, is it legitimate? What is the payment method that they're going to be asking me for? How can you
Hmm.
ensure that your payments are going to be, encrypted or secure as you're using these new sources? Do you have any tips there about what to look for when shopping with a small business?
Well, of course, look, consider the source. How did you find out about this? If you were just talking about you're seeing all the moms. Are these moms that are part of your mom group and you actually know them? Chances are pretty safe that they're legit and you're actually going to get them. There's a caveat there, and I'll get to that in a minute. And then the other thing to do is think about how you are paying for these items, because that can make a huge difference. And we're really encouraging people to use digital wallets and virtual payment cards. Now, some credit cards already have that baked in, things like the Apple Card. It already has that. But there are a number of banks and other issuers that are offering that virtual credit or debit card. And what that means is that each time you want to use that card, it's issuing a unique number. So this unique one-time number or credentials on the card, you can use that for the purchase. It only works for that purchase. So even if it is unfortunately a scam or the information is somehow compromised, your actual payment card is not compromised. So digital wallets and virtual credit cards really can add an extra layer of safety. And then the other thing I do want to let people know, because I think some forget, look, there are often different um, protections on credit cards versus debit cards. So, if at all possible, use a credit card when you're making online purchases. I know not everybody has access to credit or has credit cards. So, again, you may be able to, if the issuer of that debit card, you may be able to get a virtual card so you can get that extra layer of protection.
So, Eva, I really like what you said about cyber hygiene.
Mm.
And I think I want to just dive into that a little bit. What exactly is cyber hygiene, and what are just some quick tips that our consumers can put together when trying to implement cyber hygiene in their day to day life?
Well, we have an entire list on the ITRC website, so we can definitely get that out to folks. But I always like people to think about cyber hygiene the same way they think about, you know, your physical hygiene. It's not just one thing. It's a series of small things that you do on a regular basis. I mean, think about it. If you went to your doctor's office and said, "How do I maintain good health?" He's not going to say, "Well, just brush your teeth every morning and you'll be fine." Right? He's probably going to say, "Well, brush your teeth, wash your face, watch what you eat, get exercise, get enough sleep." It's all of these small things that are going to add up to something really big. And it's the same thing with cyber hygiene. It's things about knowing who you're engaging with. If you didn't initiate the contact, verify. Go to the source and verify. It's about good password management, using unique passwords across all of your accounts. And yes, I mean, even what you consider your throwaway accounts, your social media accounts. Use unique and strong passwords and enable MFA, multi-factor authentication. Now, I know some people think, oh, that's either an inconvenience because, oh gosh, it's an extra step, or they might be looking at some of these different platforms and say, well, I don't even think they don't require it, so I don't think they have it. And my response to that is, it literally takes 5 seconds. It's worth the 5 seconds to keep your account safe. And there are a lot of places that don't make MFA mandatory, but they offer it as an option. So please, engage and use that option on any account that you possibly can. The reason being, with data compromises, thieves may get access through, hacking, through phishing, whatever the root cause is, but they could get your username and password through a data breach. If you're using that same username and password across multiple accounts, that creates a vulnerability for you. And if you do happen to have that username and password compromised, if you've enabled MFA, someone else other than you still can't get into that account. They can't access it without that one-time use code. Big caveat about MFA and those codes: don't share them with anyone. Ever, ever, ever. I don't care how legitimate the reason sounds. I lost my phone. I'm going to share a code with you. Will you help me get into my account? Will you verify who you are? I don't care. There's so many legitimate sounding reasons, but none of them are real. Just don't ever share that code with anyone. So that's kind of my top cyber hygiene habits, but we have many more that you can adopt. And don't be intimidated and think you have to do everything perfectly. You just add little things until they become a practice, just like you do your morning routine. You don't even think about it. You just know what those little things are. You can adopt that same kind of mindset with cyber hygiene. You just add these little things and then it just becomes habit.
I love that. I can't tell you how many times I've seen that. Hey, you have a request to change your password. Is this you? Just that little extra check goes a really long way in protecting your accounts and your identity.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah. And it's so tricky realizing that a lot of the time we have the exact same password for everything. And as technology is getting more advanced, that is not a good idea. It would be nice to sit down and just go in and change some passwords, add some exclamation marks, add some variations, lowercase, uppercase, just that would make a huge difference in protecting your cybersecurity.
It does make a huge difference. And hopefully, look, we're moving in the direction of passwordless. Look at, Apple's adopted passkeys. I think Google has already said they will. There's a number of organizations that are, and that'll be something. It'll be such a tectonic change for people. I think the adoption is going to be slow because most people are going to be like, I don't know, I don't understand it, and I don't want to trust it. But in the long run, it's going to make you much more secure, and it's going to be much easier on the individual. So that's another part of cyber hygiene. Kind of learn what some of these new things are, and if it's possible, try to work them into your daily, your regular routine when you're engaging with technology.
Yeah, I've also seen the tip of doing the updates when you're prompted to do updates, because sometimes the update that they've made is a security update to a vulnerability that they've found either within their app or within their technology. But some people are so set in whatever system that they're using, and they've heard, oh, well, this system changes the way it works, and I don't want to change anything. But sometimes it's for your own good.
It's always for your own good. Patch Tuesday, please. Yes, patch. Do the updates and run those patches as soon as they come out, because to your point, um, oftentimes it's addressing known vulnerabilities. And if you don't patch that known vulnerability, you are leaving yourself open to the scammers knowing, hey, that's a vulnerability, I can exploit that. So patching, it's, I believe that's another one of the tips that we have on our bigger tip sheet. So that's a good call to bring that up.
Wonderful. What's Patch Tuesday? You said Patch Tuesday. Is that
When
a
a
specific?
Well, that's when a lot of the patches come out,
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, that's
you
good to
know.
know.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. Awesome.
Maybe it's just an ITRC thing. We're always like Tuesday patches. Make sure you've got all your maybe. I don't think so though. I'm sure that we got that from the powers that be somewhere outside of us.
Yeah, that's great. Now,
That's
we talked
awesome.
about holiday focused threats, but what are some threats that have come about recently with newer technology?
Well, I think the biggest thing, and there is a holiday spin on this, but I think right now social media is truly the biggest concern actually that I personally have for people, because it's a ubiquitous part of our life. We're all engaged in it. I mean, this conversation is going to be posted on social media. The challenge that we're having is that I think people are treating these online engagements the same way they would a face-to-face engagement. And so we're seeing a lot. It's easy to be dismissive and say, "Oh, that's not a big deal." I mean, I'd get a even think about yourself, "Oh, well, I wouldn't have access to it. I can't watch funny cat videos." But the reality is a lot of folks use these accounts as a primary revenue generator. They're content creators as a secondary revenue generator, as advertising for a small business, or just it's the only way they're keeping in touch with people across, a vast network. They've got family and friends in other states and other countries. And so when that account is compromised, a couple of things happen. One, you don't have access to it anymore. Two, your friends and people in your network don't know that that's not you. They
Hmm.
don't know that the person who is posting or DMing them is not actually you. And you have to think about that from both sides. Your account can be taken over, your network can be exploited by someone pretending to be you. But if you're on the other end of that, you're in your account, that can be coming into you. You can be getting messages, you can be seeing posts from someone who's in your network, but their account's been taken over. We talk about this on a regular basis. We hear from victims who say things like, the scammer has my account and now they're asking my friends for money. They're posting things about crypto investments and how much money I made on this investment, and they're scamming my friends and family. They're putting up fake items for sale on like Facebook Marketplace. They're saying litter of puppies, purebred, or a sofa. I mean, name the item. So there's a lot of different ways that once your account is taken over, it can be monetized by a thief. And I am particularly concerned, especially with all of the account takeover, with all of the of caring from these platforms, because they are not able to keep up. And
Hmm.
we're talking 70% of the people that we talked to in a recent survey walked away. They had to walk away from that account. So you have
Wow.
all of these fake accounts. No, they're
Goodness.
not even fake accounts. They're legitimate accounts that have now been hijacked, that are operating out there. I don't know what that's going to look like for holiday shopping. I don't know how much your feed is going to have all of these offers to purchase things. We touched on that earlier, but I do think with this this social media account takeover of epic proportions, I don't know how it's going to affect the advertising of items for sale, in the on the posts, in your DMs, and so many of them could be coming from scammers. So I really, really want people to be aware of that newer or newish trend, and just man, just do your homework. If you
Mhm.
get an offer, an ad, a suggestion from someone on your social media network, that's great, but please go investigate it independently. Try to find out what you can about this company or this organization. Go to third party
Yeah.
review websites. Go to Google. Go to the Better Business Bureau. Um, Depending on what it is you're looking at purchasing, go to Yelp. Just see if you can find sites that have uh, opinions and the experience of other consumers, so that you can then make a good decision about whether you're going to engage with them or not.
Mhm.
It's so tricky with researching sometimes because it's really easy to fabricate reviews. And there are ways, I'm sure, to determine if reviews are robots or if they're fake or paid. I'm just wondering, Eva, if there's any way to tell if maybe when you're doing your research on these businesses, if there is a way to determine if reviews are fake or not.
And fake reviews are definitely a concern. But I am always more leery of any company that only has reviews on their own website
Mm.
rather than that independent third party, which is why I recommend things like looking at the Google reviews, looking at Amazon reviews, looking at Yelp, looking at the Better Business Bureau, anything that is not within the silo of that company. Because I've seen plenty of fake websites or sketchy websites where you see all these 5-star reviews at the bottom of the website, but they're not being generated from anywhere other than the website. And that's okay if you're Sephora, because Sephora's been around forever. That's a known brand. It's not
Yeah,
okay if you're, Eva's Custom Socks, right? That would be a big red flag for me. Oh, yeah, I see the reviews on your website, but there's no place else I can go and see other reviews for your company.
That's a great
agreed.
call out. Absolutely.
Awesome. I do have a question regarding just best practices in general for consumers protecting their identity. It's the holidays, obviously. People are doing a lot of online shopping. They're applying for credit cards, and those credit cards physically come in your mailbox. There's just so many personal identifiers that go out during this time, and it's very easy for them to get compromised in some sort of way. So what are some of the best ways that consumers can protect their PII during the holidays?
Well, I think one of the really important things is know who you're sharing it with, why you're sharing it, and don't overshare. So, yes, I understand a lot of people are going to be potentially applying for credit. One of the things that you can do to ensure that it's only you applying for it is to freeze your credit. And it's free, and you can even do it for your kids. I've heard some people say, "Oh gosh, that's so inconvenient." Okay, if you are going to go out shopping and you think you might want to take some of those deals at the register, which I'm not a fan of, when you're entering things like your PII into a point of sale system, POS system, that's the keypad at the cash register where you run your card. If you're typing in your social security number, I'm very leery of that. Point of sale systems are compromised on a regular basis. Um, and we know that because we have at the ITRC have been capturing publicly reported data breaches in the US since 2005, and they're off the chain. They've been growing exponentially, and this year we not only are breaking the record from the high in 2021, we blew through it. We obliterated it back in September. So we're going to have a
Oof.
much higher year for data breaches. But if you are going to do that, it's okay. You can have your credit frozen. You can thaw it for a specific amount of time. You can say, okay, I'm going to go shopping this weekend. So Experian, I would like to thaw my credit for 3 days, and at least that way, and then it will automatically freeze again after that time period is expired. It's not the best practice to do that, I'll be honest, but it's better than not having it frozen, for the rest of the year because you think it's too inconvenient. Um,
Yeah, the thing about the freeze though is you do have to go to every bureau in order to make sure that so that way because not every creditor goes to the same bureau. So you have to make sure that if you're going to freeze you do it with every bureau.
That is correct. Yeah. You have to freeze with all three of the bureaus, and you would have to thought if you don't know what bureau they're going to be using. So with this kind of, I'm considering maybe applying for some of these discounts when I get to the register. That's a little different proposition. I tell people when they have their credit frozen and they're planning on like maybe purchasing a vehicle, you can call the dealer and ask them, you know, if you're going to run my credit for an auto loan, which service do you use? And they'll tell you, and then you can just
Mm.
thaw that one. It takes a few more minutes, but it really does keep you safer. So again, I don't necessarily recommend that people enter that information um, into those systems. And the same thing for online. You may be getting, doing some shopping and getting those solicitations online. Really, again, it goes back to do your homework. Know where that solicitation is coming from. Don't just say, hey, oh, great, I've got an extra potentially $10,000 that I could spend this Christmas. Sign me up and start providing your PII. Make sure that you have checked out who this card issuer is through an independent, source. And Google isn't really an independent source. Look, Experian can be a great resource for that of, looking and saying, okay, is this a real retailer? And then I, of course, always tell people they can always reach out to ITRC if they need us to specifically walk them through the process on how to verify how to verify an email, an offer, a website, any of those things.
Yeah, that's wonderful, Eva. And we'll definitely get into ITRC resources. And Christina, I just wanted to say that I'm really glad that you brought up that you have to freeze through all three bureaus. It's very important. And with that being said, Christina, would you be able to tell us what are some of the resources at Experian that we have for identity theft through Experian?
Yes. So, one of the best resources that I always recommend to anybody, even just in general, if you're curious about your credit, is our credit monitoring system. It's completely free. You get your Experian credit report as well as your FICO score once a month. But how it pertains to this conversation is that if an account has been opened in your name, you'll get a notification from Experian saying, hey, this new account has been reported, or even if it was just an inquiry into somebody trying to access an account for a credit account, if an inquiry has been made on your credit report, you'll get that notification of, hey, there's a new inquiry. And that's just that little quick reminder of, wait a minute, did I apply for credit recently, or is this something bigger? And then that will prompt you to check your credit report, because then you'll see, okay, where did that inquiry come from? If it wasn't me, I need to act fast. And so you contact that creditor and say, wait a minute, that wasn't me. You may need to file a police report. Experian has a fraud center that will give you the steps to take if you were in fact the victim of identity theft. And so we have step-by-step instructions there, but it's just a great resource that you have. You can have it right on your phone. We have an app, and so you'll receive that prompt right on your phone. And so it's a real-time prompt of, okay, I need to take action now, and make sure that I handle that. That way, if an account was created, you can act right away. So that's one of the best resources I think that we offer for monitoring your credit as well as your identity.
You know what, Christina, I am so glad that you brought up the alerts, because it's not just alerts on new accounts being opened. That is super important, and what a great resource. But I want to remind people, this is something I didn't mention before. You can enable alerts on your existing cards, and you can set those to a specific dollar threshold. You can set them to $1, which are those digital ones I was talking about, the online shopping where you're just entering the information in, or someone is. If you set that up, you're going to get those notifications. Just like Christina was talking about, if someone were to open a new account in your name, you get that notification. This is the same thing. If your card is used, you'll get that notification. Now, if you have a lot going on and a lot of transactions occurring, I do talk to people that think it's somewhat annoying. I don't think so. It literally takes me 3 seconds when I look at it. I go, yep, okay, what is that? And And every once in a while, it can be a good financial management tool, because there've been a few times where I was like, I didn't make that a purchase just now, and I didn't enter. Oh yeah, that's my gym membership. Oh yeah, that's XYZ. Oh, that's a renewal. I don't even think I want that subscription anymore. I need to go take
Yes,
care of that. So setting those alerts are not only good for good identity hygiene, I think they're a really good financial management tool as well.
absolutely. That just happened to us
Love it.
where my husband's like, we had $100 charge from Apple, and I was like, I didn't make a charge, and then we realized it was a subscription that had renewed, and we were like, oh well, we don't even use that subscription anymore. Dang it, But it was
Right.
just that quick reminder of like, okay, well, got to cancel that.
Hmm.
So yeah, really good tip.
Wonderful. Thank you both so much for the amazing resources. And just to wrap up our amazing conversation, Eva, what are some resources that you would love to share that are available through ITRC?
Well, I do want everyone to know ITRC is a 501(c)(3) nonprofit organization. So all of our services are available to the public at no cost. And when I say all of them, I mean all of them. So if you are in need of specific help, if you're a victim and you need a recovery plan, if you are just looking for some risk minimization tips, or maybe you've had some kind of incoming communication, you just got an email or a direct message from social media or something like that, you don't have to figure that out alone. You can reach out to us, and you can contact us by toll free hotline 888-400-5530. You can live chat with us on our website, which is idtheftcenter.org. And the live chat, that is not a bot. That is staffed by real, knowledgeable, trauma informed advisors. They really know their stuff, and they can help walk you through any of those processes. And then, of course, we do have a web based um, self help center where if you're looking for specific issues, you can look up the issue or the challenge that you want to overcome or that you just want to learn more about. And then, of course, you can just subscribe to our newsletter, follow us on social media. We do a lot of education and outreach. And again, there is no cost to the public. We're funded primarily by the Department of Justice, Office of Victims of Crime, and then by foundation grants and sponsorships. So never any charge to the people we help.
That's amazing. And Eva, I just wanted to thank you so much for educating us today. Did you have any final remarks to pass down to our consumers today?
Just pay attention. Just don't go on autopilot during the holiday season, and make sure you pay attention. And the real scary time is after the holidays, when people have to open up those credit card statements and see what damage was done. Maybe they feel like they overspent. My last tip is I really want to encourage people not to avoid that. It's really easy to be like, I'll look at that later. I don't want to know, but look at those things post holiday just to make sure that your information hasn't been compromised and misused. And if it has, remember there are resources out there to help you.
Wonderful.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much, Eva.
It was a pleasure. Really enjoyed the conversation.